Welcome, and we're so excited for our conversation today. My name is Steve Caliper. I'm known as the Doing Good Better guy, and I've gotten to know Jim and Global Assist, and I love this mission. I'm a Great Commission guy as it relates to where there are unengaged people groups and unknown believers, and certainly empowering, equipping leaders. And so, Jim and Global Assist, you're truly out on the front lines, assisting and partnering global leaders. And today, I know we've got a great conversation, but before we begin our conversation with Johnny, kind of share with those that are listening the mission of Global Assist and why do you exist? Why are we doing what we're doing?
Thanks, Steve, and good morning. God's really called Global Assist to a very specific purpose. As you said, we believe we're on the front end of where God's moving around the world. God has raised up independent church planting, discipleship making movement ministries around the planet. And this has happened in the last 20 years. And what these ministries are doing, like we'll introduce you today to Johnny and his work in Brazil. These ministries are reaching their own people groups with national leaders, creating their own teams of nationals, reaching their own people with the gospel, making disciples, planting churches, movements across these regions around the world. Global Assist work that God's called us to is to help them, to assist them, to give them some fuel and help propel them, strengthen them so they can do their work more effectively, and we can reach a lot more people.
You know, Jim, when I think about empowering, equipping leaders, share with us, the landscape, the gap as it relates to leaders, those that are serving around the world, and how does Global Assist fill that gap to help propel, accelerate the incredible ministry work that they're doing?
First and foremost, around the world, there is a need for foundational funding. So each of our partners, we do participate in funding their ministry, their work, helping them propel, because face it, everywhere you go in the world, there's a need for funding. But secondly, we see that where God's called us in specific is that as they grow as ministries and organizations, they're skilled at reaching people with the gospel, making disciples. But what happens to them is with a short period of time, they outgrow their original infrastructure. They just their own leadership development, their own organizational expansion and growth and health of their organization, so they can be healthy and stay steady and really expand. There are gaps there. We are called as Global Assist to help fill those gaps, not change what they're doing on the ground, but to help fill those gaps so structurally they can be stronger and move across their countries and regions with the gospel.
They're on mission. You find and collaborate and partner to accelerate the Great Commission, reaching unengaged people groups, and to empower nationals in many cases. Exactly. So, Jim, today we have a live example of this type of partnership and collaboration. Johnny from Brazil, and I'd love to let you invite him into this conversation and share with us a little bit about what's happening there.
Well, thank you, Steve. We are so privileged to have Johnny on. Johnny's live from Brazil today. Johnny, what city you're in? Sao Paulo?
No, I live in southern Brazil, a small city called Rio do Sul. It's in Santa Catarina. It's a very south.
Excellent. Well, good. Well, welcome. We're glad to have you here. And Johnny, Steve, as you said, Johnny does represent a ministry that he founded in Brazil called CELIB, and it is there to reach the unreached people groups. And Johnny, I'm going to come to you and ask you some questions here so this audience can understand. I think from America's standpoint, lots of times we think, well, Brazil is a Christian country. We get statistics that says Brazil is 85% Christian. But yet we know that you believe, and we understand that there's vast numbers of unreached people in Brazil, even after all these years of missionary work. Tell us about that just quickly, if you can. And you're really working in northeast Brazil in the Amazon basin there.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Thank you, Steve. I'm pleased to be here, tell you a little bit about what's happening in Brazil. Actually, there is a lot we could talk about this subject, and it's really important. Your question, it's very important. Brazil is a very large country, and there are many differences, cultures, languages in Brazil. So in the past years, the evangelical church actually grew a lot. But what's happening in Brazil is very interesting because the gospel is not spreading wisely. They're more focused on the big cities, and there are large regions where the gospel haven't reached yet, like the Amazon forest. We can believe that, but more than 30 million people live in those cities and villages, and costs a lot. It's very hard to find workers for that place. So that's one of the reasons we prayed for Amazon, and in our heart stays that we have to go where others are not going for the gospel. So that's the main reason for us to go so far from where we live. From where I live to Amazon, need to take hours by car, 2 planes. It's really far. But we are so glad that we started ministry among the villages at the rivers, and some Indians who lives in the cities there, and we have a big expectation for what God will be doing in Amazon.
Well, I think it's important that you are Brazilian. You're from Brazil, born and raised there, but yet this is a part of your country. So as we've talked about, we come alongside. You are a national ministry, understanding your culture, understanding your country, and the workers that you're recruiting and have recruited as church planters are native to that region as well, right? To that local region that you're working at. So, but you have the ability because you know the culture and the people.
Right. Yeah. I'm from South Brazil, and South Brazil is more connected to Europe culture. Like we have a lot of German, Italian people. My name is Johnny. I'm not North American, but our background was a Lutheran background. And when I was 17 years old, God called me to serve Him. I found Jesus in that retreat. God spoke to me, and I started the process to learn the Bible. I went to the Bible college, and so started the ministry very early. And my calling was very clear. I needed to help my country, my people, to find Jesus.
Yes.
To find Jesus. So our culture, as I said, it's a little diverse, but exactly that's what we are doing. We are looking for workers in the place they live, in the place they were born, because they understand better everything what's happening there.
What is it about the Brazilians today? And then certainly I've had the opportunity to travel along the Amazon, and it is quite an adventure, as you described. But what is the openness and the hunger that those that you're kind of doing life with, what is the desire to say, however I've been living life isn't working and it isn't for me, but I want to be open to hearing about who is this Jesus person?
Yes, that's so interesting, Steve, because the Amazon, it's like a forgotten place. That people are so needed. It's poverty. There are people going there just to take the gold and the wood, but the people who live there, they are really forgotten. So when you arrive there and start to tell them there is a God who loves them, who care for them, this is a powerful message. Then usually it's not difficult to stop everywhere and call people to hear you, to pray with them, to teach the gospel. They are very open and willing to be with you because they feel alone, they feel forgotten.
Even being a part of the country, even though you're in the South, as you recruit in that region, you are finding and planting church planters that are indigenous to that area, right? So that's really key for us to understand. And you can do it so much more effectively than somebody else from outside the country because you know it.
Right, and that's really important, because find the right workers has not to be only with what they know, theology and something. They have to know the culture. They have to know how to approach people. And then our church planter who is there not right now. It's André. He is from the region São Paulo, but he lived many years there, and his wife was born in Amazon.
Yeah.
She is from a village, a small village, and she loves her neighbors and everybody there. So she doesn't want to come to South. She wants to stay, and this is amazing. And Global Assist came to us in a very important time, because Jim and Steve, sometimes the church planter is struggling, fighting. There is a spiritual battle, and sometimes the church planting feels alone. And Global Assist came just exactly to tell them that they are not alone. We used to say in Brazil that is a small push. You just encourage them a little bit. You just give them a little bit financial help, prayer, and they know that someone is walking alongside them, and this is making a big difference.
Thank you,
Johnny. Thank you. Jim, let's come to you here. So, Johnny, you're one of many examples of a partner in the field, Jim, that you and the Global Assist team support, empower, equip, and propel to help them accelerate their mission. Share with us the scope and the scale of the work of Global Assist, and what are the most pressing needs right now as we begin to wrap up our conversation.
Yeah, we are global in nature. We've grown in the last 5 years, and Johnny and his ministry are one of 15. We're in Africa. We have partners in South Asia, Southeast Asia, India, Brazil, Indonesia, all across the globe. And I just want to say that we view ourselves as a servant organization. We're here to help them do their work. It's not our work. It's not about what Global Assist is doing, except filling their gaps and helping them that way. But otherwise, it's their ministry. And we're, as a servant organization, we want to propel them. So the needs are to be able to actually do the work of helping them foundationally to increase their ministry strength and to propel them forward. And we do that through some training of leadership, organizational training, resource management, those kind of things that help them be stronger. And then, of course, we need more funding so that we can help them in from the financial aspect as well. So we're here to serve them, and everybody that invests in us, that's what we're doing together to help propel this movement around the world.
Yeah, awesome. Well, Steve Caliper here. Jim, great running with you. Appreciate being on mission with you and the Global Assist team. And we just appreciate those that have taken a few minutes to listen to this conversation, to join the journey, and to support, hopefully financially, but without a doubt, to lift up the ministry and the global team in prayer. So thank you so much for joining our conversation today. Johnny, appreciate you. Jim, thank you. And everyone, God bless.
Thank you.
I thank you too.